Good morning, and welcome to the 37th Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Leaders Program presented by the Urban League of Hampton Roads. My name is Tom Hasty, and I proudly serve as chairman of the board for the Urban League of Hampton Roads. Traditionally, we have hosted this program as an in-person breakfast for more than 800 guests in the Hampton Roads community. This year, we are pleased to present our program to you virtually. We recognize the devastating impact the coronavirus continues to have, not only in Virginia and our nation, but in particular among the minority community who have been disproportionately affected by this deadly virus. As one of the nation's oldest civil rights organizations in the country, we believe it is our responsibility to be the example of modeling choices that are in the best interest to our community. Therefore, we have chosen to be safe and present our program virtually to the community, live from the historic Addicts Theater in Norfolk, Virginia. Designed by Harvey Johnson, an African-American architect, this beautiful theater was financed, designed, and constructed by African-American entrepreneurs in 1919 and named in honor of Crispus Attucks, an African-American who was the first patriot to lose his life in the Revolutionary War. When it first opened, the Addicts Theater was known as the Apollo Theater of the South and hosted performers ranging from Cab Calloway to Red Fox through the 1920s and early 1950s. Understanding the rich historical connection to the Black community, the Addicts Theater serves as the perfect venue to host our 37th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Leaders Program. Today's virtual program is made possible by our valued university co-sponsors and partners, the Eastern Virginia Medical School, Old Dominion University, Norfolk State University, Geico, and Enterprise. A special thank you is extended to our MLK Planning Committee, who helped us bring the vision for this event into fruition, and the 7 Venues team who helped with today's production. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to the MC for today's program, Ms. April Woodard. April is an Emmy-nominated co-host of Coast Live, a daily lifestyle show on Virginia's WTKR TV3. She also serves as an assistant professor at the Scripps Howard School of Journalism at Hampton University. Ms. Woodard was also a national correspondent on Inside Edition and BET, where she co-hosted the Oscars, the BET and NAACP Image Awards, Black Girls Rock, and has contributed as an expert on MSNBC, HLN, CNN, and Fox News. Ms. Woodard is highly committed to giving back to the community. She has been honored with the Trailblazer Award, the YWCA's Woman of Distinction Award, among many others. We are proud to have her serve as our MC this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. April Woodard.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hasty, and thank you for such a warm introduction. I'm so delighted to be here at the Apollo of the South, and it's an honor to serve as your MC for the 37th Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Leaders Program. Let's begin today's celebration with a prayer from Dr. Melvin Mariner, Senior Pastor at Grove Church in Portsmouth, who will deliver our invocation.
May we pray together. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, and for this, O God, we are sincerely grateful. You have sustained us through the nightmares of being Black in America, while providing opportunities of growth and wealth. Our varied contributions to this world has come from your strength in raising up a people that have been through many toils and snares. Your grace, O God, has proven sufficient, and your mercy has enabled us to become more compassionate one toward another. We are thankful for those who have chosen to serve others over self through the Urban League of Hampton Roads. We celebrate the leaders, the members and community leaders being honored today for their commitment and their integrity to make this world a better place. We celebrate 37 years of celebration in honoring the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And on this moment, Lord, we thank you for a proven leader who chose others over self. May we now understand his life, that we might embrace the life that you have given to us, that we might make life better for all involved. We thank you now for this moment, and we thank you for those things to come. It is in Christ Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Mariner, for delivering such a powerful prayer. Now let's welcome Mr. Greg Garner, voice instructor at Norfolk State University, to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, what a wonderful performance of the national anthem. Please give Mr. Greg Garner a virtual round of applause. Do those emojis for us. So we are so grateful to have the acknowledgement from some of our elected officials joining us this morning. So let's listen to prepared remarks from the Honorable Elaine Loria, United States Representative for Virginia's 2nd Congressional District.
It's a pleasure to welcome you to the 37th Annual Martin Luther King Celebration Breakfast by the Urban League of Hampton Roads. Unfortunately, we are unable to meet together in person this year because of COVID. However, meeting virtually and looking forward to our future is so important as we celebrate the Urban League's motto for this event, which is facing forward for our future as we come out of a very difficult year. It is an honor to be here to help recognize those people who have been true public servants and served our community with the values of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'm sure that they will continue that wonderful public service alongside the Urban League in the future.
Thank you, Congresswoman Loria. Now let's listen to remarks from the Honorable Robert C. Scott, United States Representative for Virginia's 3rd Congressional District.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bobby Scott, and I'm bringing you virtual greetings this morning because we can't get together in person. I want to thank the Urban League of Hampton Roads for inviting me to speak, and I'm delighted to be part of this event to honor all of this year's recipients of the MLK Community Leaders Award. I want to personally congratulate Isaiah Mariner, James Dyke Jr., Jonathan Zuer, Dr. Angela Reddix, Dr. Jordan Asher, Mark Johnson, Judge Gerald C. Jones and family, and Richard F. Berry. Now, I don't need to remind anyone here that this last year has been incredibly difficult. The theme of this event is about facing the future and moving forward together. We're witnessing a moment of immense frustration in America when our communities are crying out for unity and justice in face of unprecedented health crisis, racism in our society, and economic collapse. And we need real leadership to deal with these problems to lead us to a better future. Unfortunately, some of our leaders have chosen to demean, divide, and fan the flames of hate and bigotry instead of looking for ways to heal the wounds of America and find solutions that will lift all of us up. However, this event is a reminder of all of the leaders we have in this community that have been guiding us towards social and economic equity. One of the many legacies left by Dr. King is the importance of service in our community, and everyone being honored today is an example of that kind of service. While we still have a lot of work in front of us, I know that we're going to meet all of our challenges together, and our community will emerge stronger on the other side. So congratulations again to all of the recipients, and thank you again for the Urban League for all of your service.
Thank you, Congressman Scott. Now we'll hear from remarks from Dr. Eric Clayville, Director of the Center for African American Public Policy at Norfolk State University.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Eric W. Clayville, and I serve as Director of the Center for African American Public Policy at Norfolk State University. The Center for African American Public Policy at Norfolk State University recognizes the importance of the Urban League of Hampton Roads as a branch of the National Urban League, which is the nation's oldest and largest community-based movement, empowering African Americans and others to enter the economic and social mainstream. The Urban League of Hampton Roads plays a vital role in the local community in its mission to enable African Americans and others to secure economic self-reliance and parity by providing services and programs in areas such as education, employment, health, and housing to Hampton Roads communities. This is accomplished through their direct services, advocacy, research, policy, analysis, community mobilization, and collaboration throughout communities. The Urban League of Hampton Roads employs a 5-point strategy tailored to local needs in order to implement the mission of their movement in the areas of education and youth empowerment, economic empowerment, health, and quality of life empowerment, civic engagement, leadership, and civil rights and racial justice empowerment. Likewise, the Center for African American Public Policy is a think tank that provides non-biased and nonpartisan research on these very important issues in our community through symposiums, also through town halls. Here at Norfolk State University, the Center for African American Public Policy looks to impact the lives of African Americans and communities of colors, just as the Urban League of Hampton Roads. Therefore, through collaborations and community partnerships, the Center for African American Public Policy looks forward to partnering with the Urban League of Hampton Roads in working to serve the greater African American community for a sustained and effective impact through the missions that each of us serves. Again, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clayville. Today, we are here to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was the most important voice of the American civil rights movement, who sought equity and human rights for African Americans, the economically disadvantaged, and victims of injustice through peaceful protest. As we commemorate Dr. King's life and the triumphs in civil rights, we are also here today to pay tribute to community leaders in Hampton Roads who are today's torchbearers of equity and social justice to the Hampton Roads community. But before we do, let us learn a little bit more about today's event host, the Urban League of Hampton Roads.
The Urban League of Hampton Roads is an affiliate of the National Urban League, which is the oldest civil rights organization in America. Been providing service in our 4 pillars of education, workforce, housing, and health for over a century.
Many of the mayors in this community served on the board. That's how important the organization was to them at that time.
I think the Urban League is important for Hampton Roads and frankly, for the country, because of their mission, which is about working with, in particular, communities of color, communities that have been underinvested or in some cases disinvested.
Within a year of getting Black Brand off the ground, there were so many people looking to help make connections for the organization. And one of the first connections was Gil Bland and Urban League. This year, we were super excited to work together and build the We Care 757 Rebuild Grant Project. Just a true collaboration, being able to build out a grant program that really focused squarely on the small women and minority business community.
This organization has really been throughout many communities across the country at the forefront of working in communities just to make sure some of those needs are not only identified, but they're addressed.
I'm hopeful that we can begin to address the numerous issues in Hampton Roads. We're the 14th largest Black population in America.
They are an organization that's embedded in the fabric of the community, and they also have the infrastructure to begin to help to transform our public policy.
Advocating for causes that are very challenging for lots of people across the region, and so they're just such an important voice for people who often don't have a voice.
The Young Professionals, we're an auxiliary organization underneath our affiliate. We are volunteers that support the goals and missions of the Urban League of Hampton Roads. The Young Professionals is the premier organization here in Hampton Roads. Our organization puts you ahead to prepare you for the next steps in leadership.
It's been an honor to be involved with the Urban League of Hampton Roads, in particular as we think about the COVID-19 pandemic. We gave 20,000 masks and 20,000 bottles of hand sanitizer to every one of the 7 cities, and I know that the Urban League has helped to distribute those.
The Urban League is important to the Hampton Roads community because people know where they can go for help when they need it.
Well, there's a lot of discussion about the wealth disparities between blacks and whites. The Urban League actually does something about it. One of the best things that you could do about the wealth disparity is promote home ownership. That's where most middle-class families develop most of their wealth.
The Urban League is the place to make your donations, to come to volunteer, to do whatever you can to help communities all across Hampton Roads and across the Commonwealth of Virginia, because there are a lot of hurting people out there.
Regardless of our socioeconomic status, of who we are, what walks of life, the Urban League is one big tent where we all come together to fight the injustices and help in underserved communities.
At the end of the day, we need people who care about their fellow person, man, woman, child, and their future. And if you do, the Urban League is a place that will have work for you to do.
All right, let's get those emojis going, those virtual applause to the Urban League of Hampton Roads for the tremendous positive impact they serve to the community. Together, we learn firsthand why we must do all that we can to support the Urban League of Hampton Roads to ensure they remain a steadfast organization to help those in need, often the most vulnerable in our community. You know, there's an African philosophy of Ubuntu. It means I am because we are, and there are so many partners and sponsors we would like to thank for helping us bring this year's program into fruition. Let's recognize the generous contributions of organizations who have helped make today's event possible. A complete list of sponsors for this year's program can be found on the Urban League's website at ulhr.org. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the end of the program today when we will announce the grand prize winner of our raffle to win a $100 gift card courtesy of Packaging Tech. Continuing in the spirit of Ubuntu, please welcome John Pham, Senior Vice President for GEICO, to the stage to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thanks, April. Good morning. As she said, I'm John Pham from GEICO, and on behalf of GEICO's more than 42,000 associates across the country and the over 3,000 here in our Virginia Beach office and around Hampton Roads, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and joining today's virtual event. This Martin Luther King Jr. celebration is particularly important as we are still shaking off a challenging 2020 and looking forward to inaugurating a new president in a few days. Even as we reflect on Dr. King's legacy this morning, we can look forward with hope and resolve to make 2021 a better year. Dr. King's dream and the Urban League's mission of equality still is yet to be realized, but together we can and will make progress. GEICO has been a supporter of the Urban League of Hampton Roads for more than a decade, and we wholeheartedly believe in the Urban League's goal to elevate the standards of living for African Americans and other underserved groups through education, job training, housing and community development, workforce development, entrepreneurship, health, and quality of life. Not just here in Hampton Roads, but in locations throughout the country where GEICO has offices and customers. I feel it's important to acknowledge the work Gil Bland has done since he's joined the Urban League of South Hampton Roads. His leadership has been instrumental in reviving this chapter and taking it to the next level. And we know that these advances don't take place without leadership. Thank you, Gil. It's not every day you get to hear from someone who's a Rhodes Scholar and who has a track record of success not only in the private sector, but also with local and federal government, so you all better pay attention when Maurice is up here. Today, we have the honor of having a keynote speaker who knows about taking things to the next level. Maurice Jones received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Hampton-Sydney College and attended Oxford University in England on a Rhodes Scholarship, where he received a Master of Philosophy in International Relations. He is currently the CEO and president of LISC, the Local Initiative Support Corporation. LISC is one of the largest organizations in the nation supporting community revitalization and inspiring economic opportunities. Prior to joining LISC, Maurice was the Secretary of Commerce and Trade for the Commonwealth of Virginia, where his primary job was to utilize Virginia's assets to solidify its position as the preeminent place to live, work, and conduct business. And he also has served as Deputy Secretary for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and Associate Attorney at Hunton & Williams in Richmond, Virginia, as well as partner at Venture Philanthropy Partners. Please join me in welcoming Maurice Jones.
Well, good morning, and thanks, John, for that kind introduction. Happy MLK Day to all. It's nice to be with you. I want to thank the Urban League. I want to send my thoughts and my prayers out to all of us as we are in challenging times, times where we've got a pandemic, a recession, et cetera, and I want to just send my thoughts out to everybody. I thought this morning that as we celebrate and commemorate and remember Dr. King, that I would meditate, if you will, with you on a sermon that Dr. King gave in February of 1968, 2 months literally to the day. It was February 4, 1968, 2 months prior to the day he was assassinated. Dr. King, we must all remember, first and foremost, was a Baptist preacher. And I think it's appropriate to reflect on one of his sermons. He called this sermon the drum major instinct. He gave it at Ebenezer, a church that he co-pastored with his father, as I mentioned, in February of 1968. In this sermon, Dr. King tells his congregation about a conversation between Jesus and two of his apostles. They were brothers, John and James. And the brothers ask Jesus if they can actually be next to him, sit next to him on the right hand and the left hand in heaven. The brothers basically, as Dr. King describes it, the brothers are asking to be first, to rank higher than others, to be distinguished. Dr. King calls this the drum major instinct. He says it's a basic human instinct that we all have. So we shouldn't be, as he describes it to his congregation, we shouldn't be too critical of these two brothers because we too have this instinct. He goes on to say in his sermon that there's nothing wrong with this instinct. It's a basic human instinct, but that we have to harness it. Otherwise, if we don't harness it for good, it will be destructive. I think that's, for me, one of the first lessons of Dr. King's sermon. We in this country, and indeed across the world, definitely have suffered from the adverse impacts of the drum major instinct. The drum major instinct has been woven into America's DNA. I remember when I was a young child, when my church used to take us on trips. We had one trip a year that we would go on, and it was to a lake that was about 45 minutes away in Prince Edward County, Virginia. It was Prince Edward Lake. Well, it turns out that that lake had a black section and a white section. We only, as you might imagine, could go to the black section. And I'll never forget when I realized that what was happening was that people did not want, in this case, white people did not want blacks in the same water that they were in. There was a fear that we polluted the water. That memory is still with me years later. It was one instance of being ranked, if you will, lower than somebody else on the basis of race. It was the drum major instinct at work. You see it today as well. You see it in the way that we as a country treat individuals who don't have 4-year degrees from college. They're ranked. You see it in occupations. Some occupations are ranked higher than others. The drum major instinct has been destructive in our country and in our lives. Back to the sermon. Jesus tells the brothers that he can't grant them the favor that they want, that they have to earn it, but that they can earn it. They can earn it serving others, which is King's message to us today. We must harness this drum major instinct in service of others. And as Dr. King says, the beauty of this is that we can all be great. We can all be first in this. We can all receive the ultimate rank because we can all serve. We don't need credentials to serve. We don't need a JD or an MBA or a PhD to serve. We can all serve. We can all be great. There are issues that we've got to address in Hampton Roads. We have people living 10 minutes apart from one another whose life expectancies are 10, 20, and 30 years different. And they're different not because of what hospital you were born in or something like that. They're different because We have different levels of schooling. We have housing that is not what it should be. We don't have access to healthy foods, et cetera, for everybody. We can do something about this through service. What Martin Luther King Jr. said, and this is, I think, the lesson for us today. It's the lesson as we turn a new chapter in our country with an election coming up. If we want to be great, if we want Hampton Roads to be great, if we want our country to be great, what we need is a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. That's the way we solve our problems. So as we approach this next chapter in our country and in our region, our request, or the request or invitation that Dr. King is giving to us today, is to bring to it a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. If we commit to that or recommit to that, we can solve every problem we have. Happy MLK Day.
What a powerful message. Thank you so much, Maurice, for sharing your inspirational words. We appreciate your leadership and contributions to Virginia and our nation. Now let's recognize 8 leaders who are continuing the life work of Dr. King with our Martin Luther King Community Leader Awards. I would like to first introduce our first honoree and recipient of the Healthcare Award, Dr. Jordan Asher, who serves as Senior Vice President and Chief Physician Executive at Sentara Healthcare. His role in service to the community concentrates on creating innovative models of care delivery, as well as providing national thought leadership directed towards the future of healthcare.
On behalf of the Sentara family, I want to thank the Urban League of Hampton Roads MLK Community Leader Awards for giving this recognition. To my fellow recipients, I congratulate you. I am honored and incredibly humbled to be included in such an esteemed company as all of you. It is awe-inspiring to be recognized by the nation's oldest and largest community-based movement empowering African Americans. Thank you. My faith-based tradition of Judaism has taught me a vital ideal, which is my true north, tikkun olam, which means to heal the world. Our duty as children of God is to co-create a better world by focusing on the most vulnerable and marginalized. It is only through steadfast of purpose and working together as a community that we will be successful. In times of difficulties, we must rise above and eliminate the suffering of all. We are living in an unprecedented time that is incredibly difficult on so many levels. With the pandemic, COVID-19 highlighted the inequity of care. What affects one affects all. The ability to receive quality health care is essential for the survival of the human race. Inhumanity occurs when one believes my existence is of greater value than your existence. To quote Dr. King, life's most urgent question is, what are we doing for others? At Sentara Healthcare, we do for others. We strive to improve health every day, be the healthcare choice in the communities we serve, and provide quality, patient safety, service, and most importantly, integrity. Although I am the one receiving this award, I am merely a small player in the team and family of Sentara Healthcare. On behalf of all those at Sentara who give of themselves daily, I humbly and graciously accept this award. Finally, I would not be here today without the loving support of my wife, Jody, our 2 incredible children, Madison and Taylor, as well as the virtues bestowed on me by my parents. I have much gratitude for them for being part of my life, and I love them dearly. Being open to the wisdom of others is paramount to solving problems that seem insurmountable. Let us recognize that our work is incomplete until healthcare is delivered equitably. Now is the time. Let's do for others. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Asher. Please welcome our next honoree, Isaiah Mariner, who is being recognized for the Rising Leader Award. Mr. Mariner is a science and math teacher at Churchland High School and recognized as a role model in the community.
Thank you all for having me, and I'm so grateful for this honor. I was completely caught off guard, but I am thankful to be here in the ranks of such wonderful people. My name is Isaiah Mariner. I'm an educator, and I have a passion for people. And this award here is amazing to me. I'm so grateful for this, and it really just is a starting point. I am in no way, shape, or form done, and I continue to strive to help my people. So thank you for this honor, and I hope you all will stick with me as I continue to move forward and make change in this community and our world. Thank you.
And let's see those thumbs up emojis for Isaiah Mariner. Congratulations. Please welcome our next honoree, the Honorable James Dyke, who previously served as Virginia's Secretary of Education under former Virginia Governor L. Douglas Wilder and as domestic policy advisor to former Vice President Walter Mondale.
Good morning. I am so honored and pleased to be here today with the Urban League of Hampton Roads. This is a great honor for me personally for a number of reasons. The first being the fact that it's coming from the Urban League, which has such a historic record and a record of accomplishment, not only in this area but throughout our country. And I've long enjoyed a good relationship with the Urban League, having worked in the past with one of your former national directors, Vernon Jordan, and the late Ron Brown, who was his deputy, and also with your current CEO, Gil Bland, who is a very good friend of mine, and he and I have worked together on a number of areas related to education. So from that perspective, it means a lot for me to receive this from the Urban League. Second, since it relates to education, it's special as well because I come from a family where I've been imbued with a love and respect for education and its importance to our social justice system. My grandfather taught for over 4 decades in a one-room segregated classroom in rural Virginia, and my mother was a public school teacher for over 30 years. And they imbued me with a love for education and the fact that it can make a difference in the lives not only of the individuals it touches, but the entire community. And I have fought throughout my career on behalf of making sure that every individual has the opportunity to get the best possible education so that they can develop to their full potential. A third reason why I'm very proud to accept this award here in this historic theater is the fact that it is the Crispus Attucks Theater. And I think that's very ironic because one of the frontiers that we have to address going forward in education has to do with making sure that our educational system is inclusive, not only in its participants, but in its delivery of services. And that means providing the inclusive story of America's history. And any inclusive story of Americans' history will reflect on the fact that Crispus Attucks played a significant role in being the first individual who died on behalf of the American Revolution to bring to this country the values that we all principle today. And we need to make sure that those who study history understand the role that African Americans played in that history. And that is consistent with the values of the Urban League and what you're trying to achieve. The fact that that Crispus Attucks was not only the first to die in the Revolution, but the fact that he lived during the period of slavery. And the tie-in is that during the slavery period, the worst crime that anyone could commit was to teach a slave to read. That's because people recognize that once an individual has been educated and is provided with the tools to equip themselves and to learn, there's no way you're going to hold them down and suppress them. That's the importance of education. It's also a factor in that it must be inclusive. One of the definitions I've heard along the way is that white privilege is having your history as part of the core curriculum, and me having my history as an elective. We need to make sure that going forward, history reflects the contributions of every American, every community, every ethnic group, every gender. And so I will take this award to continue the fight to make sure that the education that we provide in the Commonwealth of Virginia is the best that it can be, and that it's available to every one of our citizens, no matter what their race, gender, abilities, or income. And thank you so much to the Urban League. I greatly appreciate this award, and continue the fight, fighting on behalf of what's right and social justice. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Dyke. Please welcome our next honoree, Mr. Jonathan Zur. He's the president and CEO of Virginia Inclusive Communities, an organization that works with schools, businesses, and communities to achieve success through inclusion.
Thank you for this incredible honor. You know, I don't do what I do for recognition. I don't seek out the spotlight. I don't like being the center of attention. And so it was a real surprise and a genuine honor to be contacted by Gil Bland and told about this wonderful recognition. And I am so grateful to the Urban League of Hampton Roads for thinking of me as being worthy of this award. I say that being especially mindful of the incredible people right here in Hampton Roads who each day inspire me with their passion and their action. And I know that any success that I have had is not mine alone, but comes from those who have come before me and is completed in partnership with so many people who are doing this incredible work to make our communities more equitable, inclusive, and just. I draw inspiration from two important historical events. One in 1935 here in Virginia, when a group known as the Tolerance Trio came to speak out against a rise in anti-Semitism and anti-Catholicism of the 1920s and 30s. Their message to nearly 1,000 people in Lynchburg, Virginia, catalyzed the founding of the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities all the way back in 1935. I less frequently speak about another experience, another event from the past that informs my work today. A few years after that 1935 gathering, my grandmother was a Jewish teenager growing up in Vilna, outside of Poland. She and her family had to hide in the woods during the rise of Nazi power. They were incredibly cold in the winter, they had very little food, they had no education. And one day when Nazi soldiers came upon my grandmother and her family and they scattered, only my grandmother and her father survived. Her mother and siblings were killed. I inherit this incredible legacy, and it has shaped the passion and purpose of my life. But I also know that it's all of our responsibilities to carry forward the important work of building more inclusive and just communities. And so this work that I do in partnership with incredibly talented colleagues, with passionate and visionary board members, and with collaborative community partners, I hope is doing the work of building a more equitable and inclusive community and living into Dr. King's message of moving the arc of the moral universe ever closer to justice. I thank you for thinking of me as worthy of this recognition, and I pledge to do all that I can to be worthy of this award for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jonathan Zur. Now, let's welcome our next honoree and recipient of the Workforce Development Award, Dr. Angela Reddix, President and CEO of Artix. She is an award-winning businesswoman who has grown her healthcare management and IT consulting firm into a multi-million-dollar operation, and also is the founder of Envision, Lead, Grow, where she shares her knowledge and insights to help young women of all ages build their business and improve their lives.
I'd like to thank the Urban League of Hampton Roads for this honor. I am so delighted that Gil Bland thought enough of me to honor me with the Workforce Development Award. You know, 14 years ago, I founded Artix, a company of one, where we do the important work of rolling out legislation regarding health care, the Medicare Managed Care Act, the Affordable Care Act. We ensure that there's compliance, and we ensure that there are cybersecurity measures. While that's all very important, what I'm most proud of is being an employer of over 100 employees throughout the United States. We do important work, but that important work allows us to put food on the table for those households, to ensure those households have health care, to ensure that they're able to enjoy 401k. I don't take these items lightly. The success of this organization has allowed us to impact the next generation by founding Envision, Lead, Grow, our nonprofit. Through Envision, Lead, Grow, we're able to touch the lives of 1,000 girls and their families in 48 states throughout the United States, teaching them that they too are the dream. Through entrepreneurship, they're able to transform communities of poverty into communities of prosperity through the promise of these middle school girls. We are creating tomorrow's boardroom. They are increasing their self-confidence. They are more conscientious. They're able to delay gratification, and they're demonstrating self-control. Yes, those are the antecedents to successful entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are the heartbeat of this country. In fact, 99.9% of the businesses throughout the United States are small businesses. 47.3% of all Americans are employed by small businesses. So in this year, I am so proud that through the pandemic, we have not just survived, but we have thrived. We continue to be able to provide the important support for our communities. I am honored and humbled to be among the other phenomenal community leaders, and I endeavor to continue to be the light in our community. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Dr. Reddix. Now please welcome our next honoree and recipient for the Housing and Community Development Award, Mark Johnson, Vice President and Community Development Manager at Trust Bank. Mark Johnson is an exemplary steward of community service and champion of philanthropic efforts in the Hampton Roads community. He consistently works to align the bank with charitable organizations and initiatives that promote positive change within the community.
Thank you to the Urban League of Hampton Roads for selecting me for this award. I am honored and humbled to join past Urban League Award recipients who I have long admired and respected. I also salute all of this year's award recipients. Each one of them have made incredible contributions to the Hampton Roads community. And of course, thank you to my family for always supporting me and encouraging my volunteer efforts across the region. Being recognized with such a distinctive award will not only be possible without the support of my organization, Truist.
and the many teammates who seek to deliver on our company's purpose to inspire and build better lives and communities. We are able to fulfill our purpose in many ways, such as promoting financial inclusion, increasing economic resilience, and building community strength. Addressing the issues of affordable housing, workforce development, the social determinants of health, and educational attainment have always been the foundation of the Urban League's mission to enable African Americans and others to secure economic self-reliance, parity, power, and civil rights. This award speaks to the continuous community efforts I have made a priority in my life, along with the support of Truist, to partner with community organizations to improve the quality of life for many individuals and families throughout Hampton Roads. Again, thank you for this significant recognition, and I look forward to partnering with the Urban League of Hampton Roads and other community organizations in the future.
Congratulations, Mark. Well, let's welcome our next honoree and recipient of the Philanthropy Award, Mr. Richard Berry, co-founder with his wife Carolyn of the Berry Art Museum at Old Dominion University, which features artwork representing African American voices or depicting Black subjects through art collections, exhibitions, and programs.
Good morning. Gil Bland, the chief executive of the Urban League, and I have been close associates in the volunteer world for a number of years. We've worked closely on Healthy Neighborhood Enterprises, which is a CDC operating primarily in the Park Place area of Norfolk. Gil is a wonderful leader, inspirational, and visionary. The Urban League is very fortunate to have him at the helm. And I am likewise honored to be the recipient of your Philanthropy Award. In that connection, I would like to share with you some of the work we're doing at the Berry Art Museum, which is one of our projects. I'm going to introduce Charlotte Potter Kasich, who is our director, and she's going to present to you some of the art that we have at the museum in the area of African American artists and where African Americans are the subject of the art. I think you'll find it very interesting. Here's Charlotte.
The Berry Art Museum is a cultural hub at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. Our mission is to advance the understanding of art in its many diverse forms through collecting, display, interpretation, and research. This tour will highlight artworks specifically representing African American voices or depicting Black subjects, history, and stories in our permanent collection. We start with American modern and contemporary paintings. Many of these pieces created by African American artists depict Black culture in America, and even reflect our local community right here in Norfolk. For example, Alexander Brooks Jackson was the first African American faculty at Old Dominion University. In his Porch People series, he illustrates his neighbors in Norfolk's Ghent. A new acquisition to the collection by Ted Ellis puts Black students at the forefront of a new history in the STEAM fields of science, technology, engineering, art, and math. With a more abstract approach, Devin Troy Struther incorporates the Black experience through humor and language relevant to his peers, and does not shy away from the irreverent. Next, we delve into contemporary glass sculpture, a field that historically has lacked accessibility and diversity. Artist Deborah Moore joyfully explores the allure of orchids, while Thurman Statham creates ladders, a symbol of growth and change. This new piece in our collection probes the tension of graffiti and ornament. It is a collaboration between African-American glassblower Leo Tokoski and Swedish engraver Simon Clennell. The Berry houses a boutique doll collection, which includes historic automata, considered early iterations of modern robots. These pieces reflect the interests and preoccupations of French society at the turn of the 19th century, and carry with them the tarnished history of French colonialism. French fashion doll manufacturers created dolls with Black complexions for an expanded market. The firm Bru developed this piece in traditional costume of African peoples. These exquisite bébé dolls are wearing original couture outfits of the period. Born into slavery, Leo Moss was a handyman and carpenter from Georgia who produced unique black dolls modeled after real children. The dolls, with bodies and clothes made from fabric by his wife, became a means of survival for the Moss family. The most recent acquisition in our doll collection is Cynthia, manufactured by the Alexander Doll Company. These pieces were produced from hard plastic for the American market and were more durable than the imported European porcelain dolls. The Barry Art Museum collection continues to grow. In the past year alone, we acquired 30 new works of art. As an organization, we put particular emphasis on expanding diverse voices that are more representative and reflective of our community, both locally and universally. Visit the Barry Art Museum and take in the many stories that our collection holds.
Congratulations, Mr. Barry. We must make sure to go to Old Dominion University to visit the Barry Art Museum. Last but certainly not least, our next honorees and deserving recipients for the Social Justice and Equity Award goes to the Honorable Gerald Jones family. Judge Gerald Jones, his wife Judge Lynn Jones, and their son, Virginia House of Delegates Jay Jones. This powerful family models the values and accomplishments of their forebearer, Hillary H. Jones Sr., who was a pioneer in civil rights in Norfolk and became the first black member of the Norfolk School Board. In 1969, he was appointed to the State Board of Education, the first black to be named to the board in the history of Virginia. Following in his footsteps, Judge Gerald C. Jones is one of few Virginians to serve in all three branches of state government. He was a member of the General Assembly. He served as the director of the Department of Juvenile Justice under Governor Mark Warner and is now a circuit court judge. His wife, Lynn, is currently a judge on the Norfolk Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court after a long career as a violent crime prosecutor and attorney in private practice. Today, the Jones family is being recognized for their exemplary efforts in carrying the torch for social justice and equity, model examples for the Dr. Martin Luther King Community Leaders Award.
Good morning. On behalf of my family, the Jones family, it is my distinct honor to accept this prestigious award. Unfortunately, due to personal and professional obligations, my wife, Judge Lynn Simmons, and my son, Delegate Jay Jones, are not able to be here with me this morning to accept it. However, they gratefully and humbly extend their sincerest appreciation for the honor of this recognition. That you recognize my family, including my late father and mother as well, for their many contributions to the community, and in the name and memory of the recently departed Congressman and freedom fighter John R. Lewis, only adds to the depth of our gratitude. And that we gather today in the historic Attucks Theater is especially meaningful. It was in this very building, just upstairs from We Now Assemble, that my father had his law office during the 1950s and early 60s, when this area was known as the Harlem of the South. I can vividly recall visiting him here as a child as he went about the difficult task of seeking fairness and justice for people of color in the heavily segregated systems of Norfolk at the time, and where he worked so hard to desegregate Norfolk's public schools as the first African American appointed to the Norfolk School Board, and later as the first black member of Virginia's State Board of Education. A great citizen, he was a pioneer in so many ways, and our family is truly grateful that today, 45 years after his death, he's being recognized by the Urban League for his good works. And I'm pleased that my late mother, Corinne, who in her own way was equally a trailblazer, not only supporting my father and raising our family, but also breaking racial barriers in virtually every aspect of civic life. She has been described as a force of nature, and those of you who knew her would probably agree. Words cannot adequately describe how fortunate I am to have a partner in life who herself is a great contributor and community leader. Not only has she supported me in my endeavors and sacrificed so much in the process, Judge Simmons has made many valuable contributions of her own, and not only in the legal profession. She too has broken racial barriers in various organizations, and she continues to serve in many different capacities. Today, she makes our city a much better place by helping and serving our children and families in crisis as a presiding judge in the Juvenile and Family Court of Norfolk. And it goes without saying that we are both extremely proud of our son, Jay, who truly understands the importance of giving back to the community. As an attorney, a third-generation Black attorney, by the way, and now as a publicly elected representative, Jay is already serving the citizens of Norfolk and the Commonwealth of Virginia in many ways. It could be said that his mother and I have passed the torch, and we look forward to many years of his faithful service to the community. As a family, we continue to be guided by the question posed so simply and profoundly by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What are you doing for others? Again, we say thank you to the Urban League of Hampton Roads for the distinguished award and for giving us this mountaintop moment in our lives. We will cherish the memory of this occasion forever.
Congratulations to the extraordinary Jones family. Please give another virtual round of applause, let's see those emojis, for an amazing group of community leaders. Now, Mr. Hasty will provide our closing remarks.
What a wonderful program we had today. Congratulations to all of our deserving award recipients, and thank you for all you do in the continued spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Programs like this require the support of many, and on behalf of the Urban League of Hampton Roads, we say thank you to Maurice Jones for his inspiring remarks as our keynote speaker. Thank you, Ms. Woodard, for serving as our wonderful MC for today's 37th Annual MLK Community Leaders Program. We also would like to thank members of our board, the Urban League of Hampton Roads staff, our auxiliary volunteers, the Urban League of Hampton Roads Young Professionals, our guild, and many corporate and community partners you'll find listed on our website. Now, more than ever, our community, our region, and our nation are facing an uncertain future, but we are committed to facing forward together in 2021. The Urban League of Hampton Roads remains committed to our mission to improve the quality of life for others, particularly the Black community, to help close the racial wealth gaps and disparities that exist in education, health, employment, housing, and access to capital. This pandemic has shown an even brighter light to the inequities that have plagued the Black and other underserved communities for too long. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, people of color will comprise a majority of the U.S. population by 2044, with minority youth already representing 48%. However, Brookings Institute indicates that Black Americans possess less than 3% of the nation's wealth, while representing only 13% of the population. This is why the Urban League of Hampton Roads is appreciative of the solid partnerships established with Dominion Energy, Fulton Bank, and Black Brand to have awarded over $300,000 through the We Care 757 program to minority and women-owned businesses devastated by COVID-19 here in Hampton Roads. We also appreciate the valued partnerships we have with the Hampton Roads Community Foundation and Truist Bank to help minority students successfully graduate from high school and college and secure meaningful careers through our Project Ready Career Beginnings program, which will launch later this year. We will continue to work in partnership with Centura Healthcare in the City of Norfolk's Ryan White program to ensure we protect the health and well-being of our community, particularly the underinsured and underserved populations. Our partnerships with the Hampton Roads Workforce Council and the Local Initiative Support Corporation will strengthen our efforts to connect the minority community to employment opportunities and improve their financial well-being. Building on those learning principles, we will continue to work with our valued partners like Virginia Housing, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, Newport News Waterworks, and the National Urban League to help hundreds more residents become first-time home buyers, or even more importantly, keep their homes by providing much-needed funding for mortgage and rental assistance during these challenging times the pandemic continues to present. To close the racial wealth gaps and inequities in Hampton Roads communities requires a collective mission of not just the Urban League, but of all of us. That is why I'm pleased to announce the Urban League of Hampton Roads will host the State of Black Virginia in September of this year to discuss the progress of our Black community. Be sure to stay connected to the Urban League of Hampton Roads to remain informed on how we are improving community. Become a member, serve as a volunteer, and donate to help our efforts. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. I now welcome Ms. Woodard to the podium for the conclusion of our program.
Thank you, Mr. Hasty. Let's please welcome back Mr. Greg Gardner, voice instructor at Norfolk State University, who will lead us in the singing of the Black National Anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as a listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the faith that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Garner, for such a beautiful rendition of our Black National Anthem. Congratulations again to all of our award recipients, and thank you, all of the viewers who have joined us virtually to honor the life and legacy of Dr. King. Now, remember that $100 gift card? Well, it's time to announce our grand prize winner, courtesy of Packaging Tech. Let's congratulate Ms. Tamara Hopkins Butler. Ms. Butler will be in contact with you directly to receive your gift. Let's now conclude the Urban League of Hampton Roads 37th Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Community Leaders Program with the benediction from Rabbi Rosalind Mandelberg of Ohef Shalom Temple.
Dear God, on this day when we honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we recall the truth of his words about our common humanity and sacred interdependence, that under you, God, there is only oneness and unity, that we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. for we need one another when we mourn so many losses and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and crave help. We need one another when we are in the deep waters of temptation and a strong hand might pull us out. We need one another when we would accomplish any great purpose, for we cannot do this alone. And we need one another in our defeats, when with encouragement we might strive again. In the words of your prophet, with this faith we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. Amen.